Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. Well, today, Tuesday, I'm wearing my Razorback red. Should have worn this yesterday in celebration of Arkansas's victory over Texas, but hey, I'm still celebrating. Okay, I'm sitting here this morning. I just found this incredible article. I mentioned to you yesterday that the imagery the Feast of Tabernacles permeates First Peter. And lo and behold, I find this article. Uh, it's from academia.edu. Pardon me, and I get PDFs sent to me through there because when I'm studying the feast days, they've got this algorithm set up, I guess, that when you read a certain amount of articles, then they start automatically sending you similar subjects or PDFs on similar subjects. And so, lo and behold, I get this PDF from the Tyndall Bulletin through Academia entitled First Peter and the Feast of Tabernacles. And wow, it is awesome. Uh, it was so thrilling to get this. So anyway, First Peter does. I mean, it alludes to the Feast of Tabernacles, the concept of the coming salvation. First Peter chapter 1, verses 9 and following says they were in the process even of receiving. It's in a present participial form there in First Peter chapter 1 and verse 9. They were in the process of receiving the salvation of their soul, which was the goal of their faith. Well, what is that? That's Sukkot slash Shemini Atzerat. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. Well, as I promised, though, and let me reiterate to you, we are in the process, we've been studying the parable of the absent master in Matthew 25, verse 14 and following for a good long time now. I understand that. But you know what? I appreciate the wonderful comments that I receive from you. And I just appreciate so much the fact that you're sharing these videos. And, the viewership is growing slightly. I wish these videos would go viral every single day. I really do. Because more and more people need to hear this message. We need to stop preaching a message to the world about a failed Messiah. And listen to me, folks. Dispensationalism teaches a failed Messiah. I mean, no offense whatsoever to my dispensational friends at all. I know that there are many wonderful, sincere, dedicated people who believe in dispensationalism, but you need to go on YouTube and look up Don K. Preston Now TV. You need to watch my last several videos in which I demonstrate dispensationalism teaches a failed Messiah. No question about it. But not only dispensationalism, postmillennialism and amillennialism both. Look, I was raised as an amillennialist, fifth generation amillennialist. And I did not understand how in the world we could keep saying, Jesus is coming soon, when we didn't believe it. When we'd sing, Jesus is coming soon, turn right around and say, well, no man knows the day and the hour. Well, if no man knows the day and the hour, how can you say Jesus is coming soon? Hello? You may not know the day and the hour, but you sure know, quote, the time, unquote. So I've been sharing with you Daniel chapter 9, how Daniel chapter 9 is programmatic for understanding the fulfillment of the return of the absent master. How so? Well, because the constituent elements of Daniel chapter 9, verse 24, all point directly to the time of the resurrection, i.e., the return of the absent master. That is found in the promise of seal, vision, and prophecy, the time when all prophecy would be fulfilled. I wrote a book on that, Seal Up Vision and Prophecy. It's on my website. Let me take just a moment to share something with you, a little anecdote that was just stunning. As I began looking at the commentaries, the critical commentaries, the scholars who commented on the Hebrew in depth many, many years ago, I began to realize that seal, vision, and prophecy And listen, I've got a list that long of scholars who teach this from all walks of life, okay, all the different eschatological paradigms. But commentator after commentator said that Daniel 9, when it talks about seal, vision, and prophecy, it meant putting a seal of authentication on the entire prophetic corpus through the fulfillment of all prophecy. Thus, no longer a need for any further prophecy or revelation. Hello? What? Well, I attended a gospel meeting, as we called them, in Meeker, Oklahoma. A man that was a friend of mine, Brother Hugo McCord, was preaching. Now, Hugo McCord was literally a world-class scholar. He could sight read the Hebrew, sight read the Greek. Unbelievable intellect. And I had really been studying this issue of seal, vision, and prophecy. And by the way, if you don't see the train coming, that if seal, vision, and prophecy refers to the fulfillment of all prophecy and how that relates to the return of the absent master, then you need to get on the tracks and look, because the train's coming with a light on and a horn blaring. I'm just telling you. Seal up vision and prophecy to fulfill all prophecy means that the return of the absent master had to be in AD 70. But, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. Didn't really intend to do that. I'll do that tomorrow. For today, notice, 70 weeks are determined to put away sin. Now, let's be very candid here. Let's be very objective. Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 26, now once at the end of the age. And by the way, the word once there is from the Greek word hapex. And that means one time for all time. In other words, he ain't coming to die again, period. Well, I think most would agree with that. But there's something associated with that I don't have time to develop it today. But now once at the end of the ages, he has appeared to do what? To put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. Now notice it doesn't say at the time of his sacrifice. Just recently on YouTube, someone told me, well, the 70 weeks ended at the cross. Well, then that must mean that sin was put away at the cross. Well, that certainly was the initiation of the process. That has to do also, obviously, with Passover, as we have developed. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, sin was not put away as a consummated deal at the cross. Now, we are told by many commentators that when Hebrews chapter 9 tells us he will appear a second time apart from sin, that proves he put away sin at the cross. It was a done deal. His second coming, the return of the absent master, will not be to deal with sin, we are told, but he will come simply to bring salvation. Well, that means that he would bring the salvation that he purchased through the cross, but it's still accented on his second coming. See, it's still a process. Now, I want you to note that in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, see, here we have a situation in which we are told he will appear a second time apart from sin for salvation, and we are told he will not deal with sin at all in his second coming at the return of the absent master. Well, that's interesting, because the parable in Matthew 25:14 and following has him judging the sins of his servants at his coming, at his return. Hello? Furthermore, in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul says that at the time of the end, the time of the parousia of Christ, That is when sin, the sting of death, would be dealt with, when it would be put away. So we have this apparent contradiction, but you see, it's not a contradiction at all if we understand that Christ's work at the cross initiated the process. As Paul said in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 6, as he spoke to the Philippians, Paul said, I'm confident that the one who has begun a good work in you will complete it at the day of the Lord. Process initiated, process consummated. But now watch this, ladies and gentlemen. And remember 1 Corinthians 15. It would be at the parousia, at the resurrection, that sin, the sting of death, would be overcome. If that's not dealing with sin, I don't know what it is. You see, we have misconstrued what Hebrews chapter 9, verse 28 actually means. It means he would not come again within and under the law like he did the first time. The law being the exemplification of sin and death. No. He would appear at the end of that age to put that law of sin and death, to put the law which condemned, put that age to its end. But I must hurry. Notice, Romans chapter 11, I have to tell you, Romans chapter 11, when I was a young minister, just blew my mind. I didn't know how to deal with it. In a conversation with an elder from a church that I preached at, he was 86 years old. He taught himself the Greek. When he was 83 years old, he taught himself the Greek so that by the time of his death, when he was about 90, he could sight read the Greek. Makes me feel so dumb. Anyway, I spoke to him about Romans chapter 11 one day, and I said, Brother Wills, I need some help with Romans chapter 11. Paul says that it would be at the second coming of Christ, quote, all Israel shall be saved. And I said, help me out on this. And he leaned back in his chair, and he says, Don, can't help you. I don't know. I said, Brother Wills, you spend 12 hours a day studying the Bible. You got to help me out. And he said, I'm sorry, Don. I don't know how to help you. On yet another occasion, I sat down with a man who is one of the top men in Bible department in a Christian university. And I said, I got to have some help on Romans 11. I was getting ready for my very first formal debate. And he said, Don, here's the only thing that I can offer you on Romans chapter 11, 25 to 27. You'd better just hope that your opponent doesn't go there and camp out, because he said, I can't help you. I said, what? You're a world-class Bible scholar. You can read the Hebrew and the Greek just like Brother McCord could. He said, I'm sorry, Don. I can't help you. Now, I say all of that to lead into tomorrow's video. Thought I'd get to it today? I won't, okay? So tomorrow, I'm going to take a look with you at Romans 11, 25 to 27. Now watch. Daniel chapter 9, 70 weeks are determined on your people and on your holy city to put away sin. Romans 11. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, the Redeemer will come out of Zion. He will turn away ungodliness from Jacob, for this is my covenant with them when I take away their sin. Daniel 9, Israel taking away their sin. Romans 11, coming of the Lord, the coming of the absent master, the putting away of sin. This is good stuff. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you on the flip side.